Hello everyone, I am House Gnome Gaming and welcome to my very first ever recording. Today we're going to be playing a little bit of Frostpunk. This is a game I'm quite familiar with. I have played it before and love it a lot. I've had it for years, so I thought I'd do a Let's Play with tutorial. This is a great game. It has 2 expansion packs. I'm personally not a huge fan of the 2 expansions. I prefer the base game, but the expansions are fun. It's just they've altered the playstyle just enough that I wasn't overly fond with it, but I know a lot of people liked it and you probably would too. We are today going to start with the first scenario. The base game came with 4 scenarios. It came with a new home, the main story, the arcs, the refugees, and the fall of winter home. The last autumn was the first DLC, and On the Edge was the second DLC. We will be starting with a new home. Once you click into a new home, you can customize it to easy, medium, hard, or extreme difficulty. They are very hard once you get into hard and extreme because your resources are low and the weather is colder. You can also go into survivor mode, and survivor mode is the mode where you can't pause while you're playing, which, you know, if you're playing and you really want to pause to do things because, you know, time is running down, and all of these games run on about a 30-day cycle, so, you know, you've got to be really careful with your decisions. So let's get started on, we're going to use the medium, which is the normal difficulty of A New Home.
We roam the still, cold world, no horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped of pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress, until the frost stopped it all, suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow, and with it, our last traces of humanity. We bid farewell to plenty, and for those who remained came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We roamed for weeks, maybe months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope pushed us forward, slowly, step by step. We knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
I love that intro. I also love the music on this game. You can get the sheet music for it on Steam. A New Home. We fled from London and crossed the sea to reach the frozen north. On the way, our convoy was hit by a blizzard and scattered. A handful of us managed to reach the site of this generator, only to find it frozen solid and abandoned. Why is no one here? Did any of our people survive the blizzard? Are there any others out there? Whatever we do, we should expect the worst now that the world as we know it has crumbled. We have to survive. Fight the cold. We need to get the generator working. It provides heat and power to the other buildings. Without it, we'll freeze to death. Stockpile some coal and start the generator. Alright, so we're going to pause there. And down here on the lower left is our current objective. Fight the cold, stockpile some coal, turn the generators on. And along the bottom you can see we have 65 unemployed or employable workers. And we have a total of 80 citizens. The children cannot work unless you pass a law that allows them to work in jobs. But for right now, we're not going to do that. We're going to go with the emergency shift, which allows us to work someone for 24 hours. And you have to be careful with this one because when you use it, you have a chance of someone dying on you, and it will also raise your discontent. So we're going to go ahead and sign that one, and they're not going to be happy about it. You'll see our discontent bar is going to start going up down here, and you can see we've got one controversial law modifier on it, but that's okay, because for right now we need to get our resources up. So if you look at the top here, you can see the temperature overlay. Over here to the right of that, at the bottom, you can see we have a 2-degree temperature drop. Well, 2 levels. Each level is 10 degrees in 4 days. So we will need to make sure that we're prepped up for that initial temperature drop. Over here on the upper left, we've got coal. And you see we don't have any, which coal is used to run our generator, which is here in the middle. We have our wood. We start out with 30. If you work on harder levels, you start out with less resources in the beginning and also less to collect. We've got steel. We have 10 of those, and we have 1 steam core. Steam cores are used to build certain buildings and to build your automatons. And then we have 100 raw food, which we don't want them to eat the raw food. We want to convert that into food rations, but in order to do that, we have a cookhouse. And then if you need assistance, there's a little tutorial over here that pops up every single time something new happens, and you can access that at any time. So the first thing we're going to start doing is we're going to assign our workers. Negative 20 degrees, they are all wearing little personal, you see the glow down here. They are all wearing little personal heaters so they can work in certain weather. And if you hit this little temperature toggle, you can see the yellow glows. That means that it's a livable condition, and that's from their personal heaters. Everything else is blue because it's chilly. You can use that overlay for your buildings as well to see how that's going. Okay, so we need to get some coal, we need to start gathering wood, we need steel, and then we need to start building our buildings, because the only thing we have right now is a storage stockpile. So, checking the way that everything is laid out, we are going to start here with some wood. We're going to put maximum workers on a 24-hour shift. We're going to get steel, the same thing, maximum workers on a 24-hour shift. And we're going to put maximum workers on a coal for 24 hours. We're going to do a separate wood pile, and we're going to put workers on that one for, we'll start 24 hours on those as well. And then we've got 5 available workers that we'll put on wood, not for 24 hours, because we're going to use these guys to start building in a little bit. On some maps, you're going to want to make sure that your children are immediately helping, so you want to pass that child worker law, but for this particular map, I don't find it necessary unless it's a very harsh level. You're going to end up with a lot of workers at the end of this map. You're not going to have any kids age up because, again, these things only run for about 30 days, so kids will always remain kids. You can see you have different types of people, you have the children, of course, and then you have workers and you have engineers. You want your engineers to be working, they can only work in your medical and your research. Workers can't work in those buildings. And then there are certain buildings that engineers can't work in. So you got to be careful with where you assign people as well. All right, we're going to speed the time up a little bit. And as you can see, we've got our resources starting to really climb here. So we're going to take these 5 guys off. We're going to get them to start building. The first thing we're going to build is a workshop because we need them to start researching tech for us. And I like to place it just a couple out here. If you click your middle mouse button, you can turn the direction of your building. Okay, and every building has to be attached by a road. So you have to make sure you have enough wood for the road to attach the building. We are also going to build a medical post because people are going to start getting sick from the cold. Working night and day. So people are questioning the need for so many emergency shifts. They understand that our situation requires hard work from everyone, but do we really have to rely on heroic efforts so often? A break would be nice. Yes, right now we do. I won't use emergency shifts after this first day though, because the further in you go, the more likely you are to have somebody die on you. This first day, you're less likely to have somebody die from overwork. And we're going to speed time up again. Okay, so you can see it's free time now, and people are going to want some heat turned on. Eventually they're going to want housing. These guys will continue to build, the 5 engineers, because we didn't assign them to anything with a 24-hour shift, but everybody else is going to continue to work. Captain, people are understandably concerned about the lack of shelter. They're falling ill from sleeping outside in this terrible cold. We'd better do something about it. We'll provide a little bit of shelter to get a boost, but I don't want to provide shelter for everyone because that would require me to build 8 houses, which right now all we have are tents that take 10 wood, and I don't want to waste 80 wood, but I'm willing to waste 40 wood in order to get our discontent to go down a little bit. And as you can see, now it has popped up some new objectives for us, which is provide shelter for at least half your citizens. And if you hover over that, you can see I have 1 day and 23 hours left to do that in. The wisdom of the crowd. Captain, when facing demands, remember this. People usually look for the quickest solution, not the best one. You don't have to agree to everything they ask for. If you fix the problem your way, it's fine. Thank you. I'll bear that in mind. Alright, so we have got our medical tent and our engineering facility. We're going to go ahead and pull 5 engineers off of here. We're going to stick them in this medical tent because you can see here we've got homeless people. Pretty soon we're going to start getting sick people as well, and we need people in the medical tent to treat them. We're also going to go ahead and build a couple of gathering posts. People working in the gathering post will will gather everything within the range. So you can see it's turning green around the building, so anything green they will gather. I'm going to put that as close as I can to the central road so that I'm not wasting too much wood. I'm also going to put a tent here to kind of guide my road. I need to build one anyway. There we go. So that if you put a road down and it's too close, you won't be able to fit tents. And if it's too far, your tents will spread out, and then you won't be able to fit quite as many in the circle. And unfortunately, you're going to be building everything in a circle around this inner hub. So the gathering posts give us a little bit of extra insulation. So there's a 10-degree buff on them, which means people working in it, we won't have to hit heat on this building until we hit a certain temperature. Okay, so as you can see, it's livable at this temperature. It'll go chilly in 10 degrees and then cold, which is when people will really get sick, at negative 40 degrees. And this particular workshop has a higher heat bonus on it, so right now it's a comfortable temperature. You're always going to want to check your temperature overlays. And we can do a new law. I'm going to do the extended shift. Building a city in this frozen hell requires sacrifice. People will get more done if they work longer shifts. This lets you extend your workday to 14 hours. That extra 2 hours is very valuable. So the first thing we're going to do is, after we pass this law, we're going to assign people to our workshop. And then we're going to start some research. And down here, you'll start to see pop-ups of people's opinions of your laws. And the first thing that we're going to build is faster gathering, because we want everyone to gather this stuff up quicker so that we can start using resources to build other things. Employing better tools and methods, people gathering resources from coal piles, wood crates, and steel wreckage will work 15% faster, whether you're using gathering posts or not. And we're going to go ahead and stick another gathering post. Where do we have everybody at? Stick another gathering post over here. Okay, and you can click on the piles and see that there's 322 pieces of coal left in this pile, and we want to turn that off as well. 21 pieces of steel, so eventually we're going to start running out of the steel, and once we do, that'll free these workers up. And we're going to turn this to a long shift building. And you want to turn your generator off in order to conserve your coal. People from our convoy, family torn apart. Sir, a woman came forward after we built the workshop. She said that her husband and daughter didn't reach the city with the main group, but she's sure they're still out there. She wants to join the first scout team we'll send out. She urges you to hurry. Well, we'll do what we can. We have to build the beacon first. We can't build the beacon until we research the beacon. Alright, so our steel wreckage is depleted, which means we now have 15 unemployed workers. So we're going to go ahead and put 10 of those workers over here. We're going to lengthen the shift, and you can see our discontent went up because we're making people work longer hours. And we'll go ahead and build another gathering post here. We won't need it for very long, but I would actually rather get people in the gathering posts sooner rather than later, because as you can see, we already have 4 people being treated in our medical facility, and we can only have 5 patients at a time, and we've got 4 out of 5 patients now. Alright, so we've got 5 guys. We're going to have them building. Let's go ahead and get these other tents built, so I don't forget about those. And we have our 4 homes built that we promised. And we're going to research a sawmill, because we are going to use a lot of wood, and we don't have a lot of wood to manually gather out here, so we're going to want to put a building to start gathering up these trees right over here.
Time to rest, folks. Work's out today.
And a new law. Okay. So a good law to get is fighting arena, because if you give them a fighting arena, then it's going to reduce their discontent. There's going to be fights every night, and other than a very cheap to build 15 wood fighting arena, it doesn't cost you anything. They don't hurt each other while they're doing it. It's just a straight boost to your discontent. Oops. But for right now, we want to get some of our less popular laws out of the way. Soup will allow us to extend the life of our food by making 2 full meals out of the same amount of raw goods as 1 full meal would be before. Radical treatment allows us to cure the gravely ill by amputating instead of just having them die. If you do sustain life, you start to cut into your people who get sick, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep them working. So we'd rather chop their leg off, because later down here we can get a prosthetic law and we can give them their leg or their arm back. Over here, cemetery or corpse disposal. I personally always go with corpse disposal. The people hate it, but if you put in a cemetery, it cuts down on their working time because they will go to the funeral, and I want to keep them working as much as possible. So right now, we're going to go for soup and build a cookhouse.
Listen, everyone. New law is signed.
Because people are going to start getting hungry, and then they're going to start getting cranky. Yes, the heating is off. We're going to turn that on. Alright, we're going to start pulling the people off of our 24-hour shift piles because, well, they're no longer working at 24 hours, and we're going to start farming them into these various gathering huts that we have built. We're also going to build another workshop so that we can get our technology being researched even faster. The more of these workshops that you build, the faster you can research your technology. Alright, as soon as we get the cookhouse built, I'm going to give you a tip on that, and then we're going to wrap it up for today. And we will do some more Frostpunk later. Shelter promise fulfilled. Everyone feels relieved with a roof, even a flapping one over their head. Hope rises. You can see our discontent also fell because more people have a shelter. We still have 40 homeless though, so we're going to have to get them shelters. Okay, a tip about our cooking. We're going to want soup, but we're going to want to start this in the morning with some people working in it, getting soup done right away. But until then, we want to dismantle and pause our cookhouse, and I'll show you how this works. Because you're going to try and discourage people from eating outside of hours, and if the cookhouse is open, they'll eat freely. So we'll run this until morning. And let's make sure everybody is working extra shifts. Oh, we've got 68 wood, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the rest of the houses. And if you watch our discontent and our hope, those will change. See, our discontent went down. Alright, it's work time. We're going to turn our generator down to save us a little bit of coal. Alright, now we're going to put the cookhouse back up. We're going to man it. We're going to make sure our soup is selected. You're going to watch the raw food convert over into food rations. Okay, we've got our sawmill researched. So the next thing we're going to do is our drawing boards, which is going to allow us to unlock this second level of items that we can learn. Okay, and by taking the soup, we turned from 100 raw food to 218 food rations. Now, dismantle the building, but we're going to pause it because we don't want them to actually dismantle it. We can always hit the X and buildings back. Okay. And that will allow our rations to last a little bit longer, because eventually we need to get a beacon up and send some people out for scouting, and we're going to need to build a hunter's hut, but we'll get there. Right now we're buying time. There was an alternative to the soup, which was wood shavings. You could put wood shavings into the food to extend it. A lot of people like to do that. I don't, because even though it's a little more filling, it's a hit to their health, and I have a hard time keeping my people healthy. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Frostpunk, A New Home. Again, my name is House Gnome Gaming, and if you enjoyed my content, please remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye.